Welcome to the RSP Film Room. We're going to take a look at Trevor Lawrence, the highs and lows of Trevor Lawrence. We're going to look at every turnover, and then we're going to take a look at some of his positive plays from this 2023 season. Because one of the things that people are using to argue a narrative about Lawrence as not being very good or regressing is his turnover rate. And when you look at his turnover rate, it's certainly one of the worst in the league. But is there context behind how you score turnovers? And I would argue probably yes. So we're going to take a look at some of all these turnovers, and we'll see how many of them really you would just say blatantly are Lawrence or more on other players. All right, first one. Interception right there, right? So let's take a look at it in a little bit more detail. Is the throw a little high under pressure? Absolutely. Does Tank Bigsby get both hands on the ball on this high point? Yeah. Did he need to leap fully? It doesn't look like it. It was actually at helmet level and he leapt for it. So this tells me two things as someone who studies receiving on a regular basis every year in the rookie scouting portfolio. One of the things that I always look at in terms of criteria is when you track a football, do you leave your feet unnecessarily? He did. He also clap attacked the ball and ends up tipping it. So really what you're looking at here is Tank Bigsby making two errors opposed to, Lawrence, who gets the ball in the neighborhood. I mean, really? This should have just been an extension and a catch and retraction. He clap attacks it, juggles it, fumble. Or actually not fumble, it's just tipped and intercepted. Now this is a sack fumble and a return for a touchdown. Buckner, right there. And look, most everybody doesn't realize it's a fumble. The Colts finally figure out that this play hasn't ended, and they end up, getting the touchdown. Now, the reason that they didn't think it was a fumble is how close of a play this was to just being an incomplete pass, a throwaway. Because watch Trevor Lawrence. Ball is up at the highest point of his release just as he gets hit. So it looked like the ball was coming forward. It was a bang-bang play, but it turned out that it was ruled a fumble, and I think that was the right call. And you could say from Lawrence's end, if you want to make the argument that Lawrence drifted into Buckner's pressure, you would be correct because he climbs the pocket and gets a little bit closer to a defender that maybe you could argue that he should have seen this out of his periphery just enough to not climb in that direction and maybe climb towards his right. But I would argue that this is the open area. He was just about to get the ball out. He was climbing into an open lane to check the ball down, and he was just a hair late. Ultimately, this one I would count on Lawrence, but it's a close call. This was scored as a rush, no gain for Trevor Lawrence, and it's basically ruled a fumble on the replay. They initially called an incomplete pass. But when you take a look at it, it's behind the line of scrimmage, so it's technically a lateral. The receiver gets his hands on the ball and drops it. That's a fumble. But they rule that fumble on Lawrence. All right, this is 3rd and 10, down 8, 4:47 left, and this is a sack fumble. Chris Jones gets the wrap around. Look, trying to bring the ball up to throw it, and that gets thrown behind the receiver right there, and he throws it behind the receiver and behind the line of scrimmage, so it's technically a lateral, and that's a fumble. Rolls out of bounds. Now again, do we look at this and say, this is on Trevor Lawrence? I would say he's trying to avoid the sack. Bigsby, doesn't get around, but it is well behind Bigsby here. So yeah, you'd say that's on Lawrence, but do you look at this and I don't know. I look at this particular play, and again, probably wouldn't go off too hard on Lawrence with this. He's trying to get rid of the ball. Still, you'd pin that on him. I'd be comfortable with that. But at the same time, not losing my mind about this particular play. He's trying to throw the ball away. Ultimately, that works out. It could have been a disaster, but at this late of the game, you're trying to make a play. Not going to lose my mind. All right, so this is a bad decision. Brian Cashman dropping back towards the left hash. And you get Lawrence looking towards that left area here, and he's basically staring down the left side, whether it's the sideline here, which maybe, he was looking at that and feels like that's going to be well covered. I'd say he came off that route a little early, but he had to come off that route a little early due to the interior pressure right here. So if he's going to his left, the receiver's not at the top of his stem, so he can't really throw that with the level of anticipation he'd like, because the receiver had to make 3 more steps to even begin his break, and that ball would have been coming out where he really probably didn't like the leverage there. So this is covered. So the fact that he comes back and he looks to the middle of the field, you would probably have liked him to take the shorter route, but he's throwing towards the sticks, and now he's under pressure and he doesn't see the underneath defender. So it's a bad play. You can understand why he got to where he got to up until he makes this throw. All right, this is a sack fumble at the end of the half. Blindsided, bringing the ball back, just about to bring it forward as he's hit. Couldn't see that coming. Did he take too much time? I would argue not. I mean, I wouldn't say he took too much time in the pocket here. He just Epinesa beats the left tackle handily on this play. Let's take a look at it one more time. You can see how close it is, just like that Buckner play. He's bringing the ball back, and at least this one's a pure block. That bad snap, that's considered a fumble by the NFL, by the quarterback. Even because the center's not considered a ball carrier. So it gets charged even though this isn't Lawrence's fault. Now, right here, this is a sack. That's what they consider it. And when we take a look at where he started at the line of scrimmage, looking at 5, 10, 15. And then there's 18 right there. So they consider that a fumble as well. So he has a fumble on the snap right there. That's considered a fumble. Shouldn't be. This, he's trying to throw the ball away, and they consider that a fumble because I think he never has control over it as he's trying to throw that ball. So that's a second fumble. It's basically 2 fumbles on one play, I think, how they would charge that. And he does have 3 fumbles listed in this game. So one is his fault, the other one is not. The one that begins this whole chain of events is not his fault. This interception we're going to put on Trevor Lawrence. It looks like there's a route miscommunication between himself and Christian Kirk. I don't think he's throwing to the tight end on this route right here. If he does, it's vastly underthrown. I think if anything, he was expecting more of a stop route or a curl from Kirk. And just as he's beginning to throw that ball, watch how Kirk stutters and then turns. So he's a little bit late with that. Either way, the routes are very tightly together. The defenders are together. he's throwing this into an area where the defenders have leverage. Probably shouldn't have done that. All right, definitely a bad play on Lawrence, and in the red area, you're going to watch this. DeMonte KZ is going to basically drop back right here from the corner position, and then you're going to, or that's the corner's going to do that, going to drop back, and then he cuts off this pass, and the KZ comes over and undercuts the route. And you can watch one more time. I mean, Lawrence play action fake, looking to his left. Ridley's well covered here, and that's KZ right there, right? KZ continues along that path. Lawrence feels the pressure, throws it off his back foot, tries to put it in the back corner here, but just not really a wise decision. This is kind of throw that you'd want him to throw it away. If he meant to throw it away and it just slipped out of his hand, that'd be one thing. But this does not look like a ball that like slipped out of his hand. This is like a nice spiral. Looks like that he was really just trying to power that ball in there and did not read the leverage of KZ, or assume that KZ was going to continue to, stay with Ridley on this play. All right, Joey Bosa, Chase Young, bookends, pretty nice set of bookends here. Tries to climb the pocket here, and you can see Bosa swat that ball away. That's definitely on Lawrence. I will say that Lawrence does hold the ball away from his frame a little too much, but at the same time, the number of fumbles attributed to him, I don't think are as high as what's actually being scored. Let's take a look at this interception. Guess who's a culprit again? Tank Bigsby. Here we are several weeks later. Pressure coming. Quick throw. Understandable that, maybe a difficult situation, but the ball, a little high, but Bigsby claps it again, tips it. Hufanga makes the interception. Again, this is a dropped pass. This should have been caught. This interception he's hit while throwing the ball. See it right here. Climbs, tries to throw it to Kirk. This is the open lane, but the pull of his frame by the defensive tackle forces the ball short and behind Kirk, and Warner gets the interception. This is ultimately on Trevor Lawrence, trying to climb and throw, trying to get it off quickly and into a crowded area here. It's also a 4th and 15, and they're down by a lot. So when you look at this play, again, he's trying to make something happen at this point of the game. Not the best decision, but they're in a desperation situation. So it's on him, but this is just part of the game. I'm not looking at him in a way and saying he's too careless with the football overall. Now let's take a look at some of Lawrence's best plays. You're going to see him under center here. Calvin Ridley up at the top of the screen. Play action pass, feels the pressure right away. Great job of climbing and on the run, knowing that Ridley one-on-one, he can make that adjustment and throw it back shoulder. And look at that. Ridley makes the stop. Good play there. Let's take a look at it one more time from this angle. Again, the athletic ability to throw on the move. Nice work. Lawrence's ability to throw to his left, underrated. Looks to his right, everything's well covered here. Sees that, feels the pressure coming off that right side from 3 defenders, rolls to his left. Ridley working back to Lawrence. There's basically 2 receivers, 1 guy right here. Now, Lawrence maybe could have made this throw if he could reset in time, but he's trying to clear enough space here. He knows that the defender also sees this underneath. So he does a good job of setting that defender up by sliding over a little bit further, continuing to look at that sideline receiver, and then coming back and throwing it behind. Smart play. This is a terrific throw. It's a terrific display of anticipation, because right here, he knows he's throwing this to Zay Jones. And you see the defender squatting on this route, meaning that he's facing downhill. Lawrence knows if he leads the receiver enough to the right boundary, the receiver's going to be able to outrun this defender, because he's going to have to turn and run, and he's at more of a stop anyway, so he's going to have to accelerate. So if he can just put this ball ahead of the defender and let his receiver run under it, Zay Jones, he's got the score. It's a great catch by Zay Jones. Don't get me wrong. It's a great play all around. But the anticipation right here, knowing the leverage, and firing that ball right where only the receiver can make the play, is beautiful. Lawrence makes some beautiful trust throws too. You're going to see Ingram here at the bottom of the screen on the fade. Puts that only where Ingram's really going to be able to make the play, just above the rim and just right in front of the defender. I mean, that's a gorgeous throw right here. Now, you could argue this is a better play by Calvin Ridley, and I wouldn't argue with you, or I wouldn't disagree with you. But it's also a nice play by Trevor Lawrence. And we're going to take a look at it one more time here, because he has two options on this play. As he looks back right here, he knows that this is going to be a route with a safety over the top, the defender playing inside. He could try and fit it into the hole that's going to be a very small one between the safety and the corner if he leads Ridley, but instead he throws it back shoulder and gives Ridley the best opportunity to make this play without the safety in the way. So again, this is a mature placement decision, and it's a good trust throw as well. And you want quarterbacks who are aggressive with making trust throws. You've got a lot of good receivers in this league. Let them go up and win it. There are some quarterbacks who just aren't good at doing that. Jameis Winston is very good at doing it, but he makes impulsive decisions. Derek Carr isn't really aggressive enough, and he has players who can win those. And you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Sometimes, some of those throws that he made that were fumbles because he was trying to get the ball out under a tight pocket, well, he's used to being under pressure a lot with this offensive line. This is a beautiful throw. Look at the off-angle platform or off-platform angle that he throws this ball. It's more of a three-quarter, almost a sidearm delivery to the far flat. Like it. And the pocket's closing in on him. So, you get the benefit of this, but if he's a split second late with this, that could be a fumble. Sometimes that's happened, but not so much that you would say that he's a careless player compared to the number of times he's been scored with turnovers that weren't actually his fault. The read isn't particularly impressive on this play. It's a wide open throw by Ridley where you've got one high safety, but pressure's coming, and they're trying to pressure Lawrence and prevent him from being able to throw the ball. And they do a pretty good job of getting the pressure on him. Look at him reduce to the inside, turn away, slide to his right, and now it's about, can I beat the defender with my throw? He gets hammered, throws it, just an easy ball for Ridley to go up and catch. He doesn't even, Ridley just has to wait on it. Most of the hard work was done by Lawrence athletically. Really nice play here, considering that it's about beating the blitz, not beating the coverage. Great reduction right there. Great timing with that, and then knowing he's going to take a hit. And he takes a hit on that. This is a beautiful throw by Trevor Lawrence for a touchdown to Zay Jones in the back of the end zone while he's just getting hammered. He gets clubbed basically to the ground by the pressure that's up the middle right here. Watch him get clubbed right there. Now, let's talk about that placement to Jones, because it's a high throw. Some people might look at that and say, well, he threw high because of the pressure. Possibly. He also could have thrown high because he realizes that there's defenders in the middle of the field that could peel off and cut off the break in the direction that it's going. So why not throw it into the body and high, where only Jones can get it? And that's what he does, is he's preventing any other defender, if they see it, from coming off of their route and peeling back into the lane. because there's a defender underneath who certainly saw that. This guy right there. Really nice throw by Lawrence. Really just understanding in a very quick situation where to put that ball. Here's another one under pressure. Sail route. 91, I think that was. Was it Oliver? I'm trying to look. 91, yep, Oliver. Fits it right in that hole of coverage that you need it to be. Throws it right there. Perfect anticipation. Kirk comes down with it. All right. Lawrence knows he's going to be under pressure by this corner right here. Corner blitz, blind side. Gets that ball out at the top of his drop. Perfect fade to Ridley. Not so much the throw. I mean, the throw's great, but it's the throw under pressure and knowing that his responsibility is this free man. He knows that he's got to get that ball out before the defender hits him. Takes a little bit of a hit, but gets that ball out, about a beat before. This is a better catch than it is a throw, but it's still a very good throw because it's between the cover two and that honey hole. Throws it with anticipation and only where Ingram's going to make the play. And Ingram makes a heck of a play on it. But see how it's thrown to the outside shoulder in that honey hole between the cover two, corner and safety? Look at that. He puts it over here. He doesn't put it anywhere in harm's way with these two defenders. Beautiful catch by Ingram. Good throw, though. Here's another great display of placement to Ingram. Again, high on an out route, only where Ingram can get it so the defender can't undercut it. That was intentional placement. Watch it one more time. Late in the game, down by 1. Trevor Lawrence feeling pressure. 2nd and 7. Look at the burst. When you can outrun a defensive back to the boundary, and that defensive back certainly right here, 23, working inside on the tight end, then tries to come back around. Can't catch him. Tells you a little something about Lawrence. He can certainly get chunk plays for you with his arm or his leg. This is one of my favorite plays from Trevor Lawrence this year. Shows a bit of grit. He knows that he's got Ridley open here working up this seam. And you can see that the defenders are down here in terms of their leverage. He's got the far safety over to the right side. And he just waits for the right moment, gets that ball out, takes a big hit, and puts it where, Kirk is going to be able to make the play. It's not a, pinpoint throw, but it's good enough for Kirk to be able to make the play. And he knows right here, he waits for just a half a beat just to make sure that it's cleared and gets that ball out. He probably could have thrown this earlier and not have to deal with, taking the kind of hit he did, but still, gutty play. It's the kind that you have to make sometimes. And really what I like about it is it's kind of a late blitz, because here's where 31 comes in on the screen right there. And I like his ability to adjust. Watch Ingram here on this 3rd and 3 play. Brings the ball up to throw this. He knows it's going to break inside. He knows that there's a defender in the middle there. He pumps it, holding on to it. Lets Ingram be able to understand that read too. Turn back and make that break and throw it only where Ingram can make the catch. Again, this is a really nice display of them being on the same page. And put it in a tight window where he needs it, gets him into the red zone. This is also a beautifully placed throw under center. And the Steelers, getting pressure off the edges here, climb, and right here, he throws that ball. He knows he's got the safety over top. Look where he places this ball. Almost back shoulder with the trailing defender there. Look at that. That is totally intentional placement. Look at this. Protects his receiver. Seen a number of downfield throws where only the receiver is going to be able to make the catch. And he spots the big play immediately here. Watch this. Takes a snap. There's Ridley. Looks over, sees the defender squatting right there, knows he's going to be able to beat this high safety. He fires that ball on a line right over that safety. So while KZ may have got him one time in the end zone, he gets KZ back on this one, just exploiting that play at the end. Let's look at it one more time here. Look at that. Beautiful throw. This is a nice placement adjustment here to Kirk. Play action. Pump fake right there. Doesn't look like that's an ideal potential to throw that ball. Comes back, fires it where Kirk can curl back underneath to get that. He doesn't have, that's a tough throw to try and make. How far are we looking at? Basically from the 45. It's a 40-yard throw. It's kind of a jump throw in the way that he has to make it. Off his back foot a little bit. Or at least off balance. I like the placement there. Kirk adjusts. Good work being able to avoid the pressure there in the pocket from Chase Young. Newly acquired Chase Young. I mean, Young beats that double team. Only where the receiver can get it. So look, Trevor Lawrence not having the greatest year. He's taken a lot of sacks. He's been under pressure, but from what I'm looking at, 4 of the 6 fumbles that he's had were not on him. And you could argue that all 6 of them you could kind of excuse or say that they were questionably scored towards him. And he's had 6 interceptions this year. 2 of them were basically Tank Bigsby dropping them and tipping them into the air. So 4 of them were on Lawrence. 4 interceptions in 9 games. I'll live with that. So that turnover ratio isn't quite as high as people are making it to be. I think that if you are a fantasy player, maybe Lawrence isn't going to be the guy that's going to help you a lot down the stretch. We're going to have to look at his schedule a little bit more, and I'll write about that in my gut check column at Football Guys this week and see if whether the schedule may be a little more favorable for him. But I will tell you that next year, I mean, if you can get him in dynasty leagues as a dented can, as someone that people are down on because the stats tell you that he's a turnover problem, buy into that. Definitely buy into that. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room and Film Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, Matt Waldman's RSP Film Room, on my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com.